Part 46. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 462. Originally, the furnace space cannot hold anything. This kind of space that only exists in consciousness cannot be materialized. But now it is different. Since the furnace absorbed the energy of the abyss and evolved into the biological individual black and white cat, the furnace space has also solidified. The previous 9 square grid ability still exists in the black and white cat, but the furnace space can also hold things. With the continuous injection of abyss energy, the true form of the furnace space is also constantly manifesting. The mysterious black and white cat also inherits all the functions of the furnace, but it has changed from digital to real. When Yejing transferred the core of the blue star to the furnace space, the black and white cat's eyes lit up instantly, and he took 3 or 2 steps into the air and pounced directly on the core of the blue star. He was so happy that his saliva flowed down. Oh my goodness! This is the core of a whole planet. A pure energy ball of 50 meters in size, composed entirely of energy. This is not spiritual energy, nor is it abyss energy. It is the refined energy produced by a planet from birth to now, which has been continuously condensed and refined. The energy core contains the most essential part of a planet. If we talk about energy intensity, the abyss energy is definitely stronger. But if we talk about energy purity, the planet core is better. This whole blue star core made the black and white cat's eyes shine. It was like getting a mysterious and precious treasure. She rubbed the surface of the core very gently, and her eyes were full of love. If there is anything that can make her excited, it must be energy. Only by constantly absorbing energy can she continue to evolve, manifest into a human form, restore strength, and restore memory. And so on, everything needs energy. This should be pretty good, right? Yejing patted the surface of the blue star core, looking smug. He paid a huge price to get it. After entering the geocentric space, he went straight to the blue star core. In the blue star core, he was beaten up by the young Pluto again. After many hard battles, he killed it with the help of divine light. The black and white cat nodded repeatedly, and pressed his soft little claws on the blue star core. When the black and white cat started to move, a faint white light faded around the core of the blue star. The white light assimilated with the black and white cat and flowed into her body. The energy contained in the core of the blue star is very huge, and she needs a lot of time to fully absorb it. Yejing asked, "How long will it take?" The black and white cat estimated, "A few hours, I can't calculate how much energy it contains." After a few hours, the evolved abyss skills can also come out together. It won't take long. Yejing thought to himself that there shouldn't be any changes in a few hours. He has other things to do now. The energy ratio in his body is now 50% spiritual energy and 50% abyss energy. Don't worry about the spiritual energy, the whole solar system is full of spiritual energy. But the abyss energy is different. The abyss energy is now only available in the Kilin Mountains. Once he leaves the Kilin Mountains, he can't even replenish the abyss energy. So, now we have to prepare for a rainy day. Since there is no abyss energy outside the Kilin Mountains, then let the furnace space be filled with abyss energy, isn't it? He looked around the furnace space. There were only the black and white cat and him in this space, and there was still a large space left. As long as this large space was filled with abyss energy, he would not be afraid of having no backup energy. Hurry up and refine the blue star core, and evolve your skills by the way. Yejing waved at the black and white cat and stopped disturbing her. After leaving the furnace space, Yejing cast his eyes into the air. There are magma and hellfire in the Earth's core space. And the burning of hellfire will produce abyss energy. Compared with injecting abyss energy into the furnace space, he prefers to transplant a large amount of hellfire into the furnace space. In this way, even if he can't use it, the overflowing abyss energy will be absorbed by the black and white cat. I am not a producer of abyss energy, I am just a porter of hellfire. After Yejing muttered softly, he controlled the energy outside his surroundings and slowly floated up from the original place. For energy control and flying skills, he doesn't need to practice at all. Having been carried by Gray from the beginning to the end, he had already figured out the energy flow in the air. As the energy was transferred, his body was gently lifted up. 1 meter off the ground, 2 meters off the ground. He rose little by little. Although he was not very skilled, his sense of balance was weak, and his body was still a little shaky. However, he was not using it for fighting or escaping, just flying. From bottom to top, Yejing rose into the air, and the hellfires floating on the top of the Earth's core space were within reach. The hellfire seemed to be not gentle and insensitive, but had a kind of heart-pounding fluctuation. This was the fluctuation of the abyss energy, which was a fatal fluctuation for creatures that only possessed spiritual energy. But for people with abyss energy, it was different. The abyss energy was like a child of hellfire. How could a mother beat a child? Yejing retracted his spiritual energy and switched to using abyss energy. The dark energy enveloped the palm of his hand, and a dangerous breath followed. He grabbed the hellfire with his hand wrapped in abyss energy. An almost temperatureless and invisible black flame fell into his hands. Sure enough, the energy senses the abyss energy burning from the inside. After staring for a few seconds, Yejing moved the hellfire in his hand to the furnace space. This is the first one. I have to get busy again. Yejing sighed. He really didn't know how many hellfires were needed to fill the furnace space. The number was too large. It seemed that he couldn't move in a short time. I don't know if he can make money by selling abyss energy in the future. 1 unit of abyss energy is 1 million spirit stones. This price should be quite fair. Yejing thought, and stretched his evil claws to another hellfire. This is a hellfire that never goes out. It can generate abyss energy forever. Taking one more is a profit. On average, 1 every 2 seconds, 30 per minute, about 1 cubic space. The furnace space is not small or not, about 1000 cubic meters. If 100 cubic meters is reserved as a rest space, there will be 900 cubic spaces for placing hellfires. 900 minutes, with the continuous hellfire, it would take a full 15 hours to fill the furnace space. Oh, do it yourself and you will have enough food and clothing. 10 minutes. 20 minutes. 1 hour. As time passed, he was busy plundering the hellfire, thinking that this work could last for 15 hours. However, when he stretched out his hand again, it suddenly froze. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 463. Just as Yejing continued to carry the hellfire, a very violent tremor came from a distant direction, shaking the entire Earth's core space. This tremor was not just transmitted from one direction, but from all directions. This super-violent tremor was like a magnitude 10 earthquake, shaking all the volcanoes in the Earth's core space. The continuous vibration made the magma in the volcano violent, and after a short delay, it gushed out instantly. Hundreds of magma erupted at the same time, and huge flames covered the entire sky from top to bottom. The hot magma covered the entire Earth's core space, and after exploding pieces of brilliant flames and fireworks in the sky, it scattered and fell. Oops! What happened? Yejing couldn't figure out what happened. He hurriedly waved his hands in the air, summoning a large amount of abyss energy from all around to protect his body tightly. After entering the realm of destiny, Yejing's control over energy has reached a higher level. He no longer had to dodge the lava in a panic. He could control the energy externally and easily resist external attacks. What happened? Yejing frowned and looked into the distance. He felt a terrifying energy condensing from not just one direction, but from 3 directions. This terrifying energy was simply trembling from the bottom of his heart. Suddenly, an idea came to Yejing's mind, and a trace of horror flashed in his eyes. No way. Could it be that those big guys have successfully absorbed the energy of the abyss and are ready to be promoted? He only knew that all the semi-saints were stagnant at the first disaster, but he didn't expect to break through so soon. Is this the first disaster of the 3 disasters? Yejing murmured, struggling on his face, and hesitating in his heart. My God, this is the disaster of the 3 disasters. For more than 100 years, only the world tree succeeded in the disaster, and the other semi-saints were all stuck in the first disaster. And now, under the protection of the abyss energy, 3 semi-saints broke the disaster at the same time. A once-in-a-century wonder. Not only does he want to watch, he will definitely step into the 3 disasters in the future and become a semi-saint. At that time, it will be very dangerous to pass the tribulation without knowing it. Now it would be best if a big man could show him how to pass the tribulation. But he still has to carry the hellfire, which is also a serious matter. Should he go to watch the big man pass the tribulation, or continue to carry the hellfire? After hesitating for a while, Yejing looked at the hellfire in the sky with a painful face, gritted his teeth and ran towards the distance. Sure enough, passing the tribulation is still the most important. In order to lay the foundation for the future, the hellfire can't run away anyway. But, 3 big men are passing the tribulation at the same time. Which one is Master Anthony? 3 big men, 2 are enemies, which means there is a 2/3 probability of hitting the enemy. What if he is killed by the hand? Yejing stood still, closed his eyes and emptied his mind, spreading his consciousness around, slowly sensing the breath in the distance. As semi-saints, Anthony and others, their breath fluctuations are enough to cover this geocentric space. As long as you pay more attention, you will definitely find it. The closest, the first breath fluctuation. Full of heat and irritability, even angry hostility. Oh, this is the flaming dragon. Yejing thought helplessly, there is no need to distinguish it at all, just feel the breath and you will know. Too simple. His consciousness was still spreading outward, and a few minutes later, another breath full of evil energy entered his perception. Dark and evil, no good, and full of malice. Oh, this is Emperor Wu Tian. Yejing nodded secretly, clear and distinct, there is no difficulty at all. One is the flaming dragon, the other is Emperor Wu Tian, then the last one is Master Anthony, right? Master Anthony's breath is as colorful as a rainbow, and it contains all kinds of elements like a sea of stars. Although it's a bit far, it's still safer to Master Anthony. Yejing thought, and flew towards the direction of Master Anthony. His flying speed was slow and his body was swaying. Damn, I don't know if Gray and the others are out of danger? If there was Gray, there would be no need to travel so hard. Oh, I really want to have a superior mount. Like the level of the flame dragon. Or riding the black and white cat is also okay, but I don't know when she will grow up. Over there, is it the direction of the flame dragon just now? As the magma erupted, Zhao Danggong crawled out from under Gray's wings, looking back with cold sweat on his face. They just left, and the flame dragon made such a big noise. It's a good thing they left, otherwise the aftermath of this terrifying energy would be enough to destroy them. Isn't that the direction over there, the direction of the Great Demon King? Gray swallowed his saliva and stared in another direction with wide eyes. Why did the Great Demon King explode too? What about the other one? The other one couldn't be Master Anthony, right? Why don't we go over and take a look? Zhao Danggong suggested, I feel like it's time for us to return to the organization. If we act alone in such a dangerous place, we might not be able to save our lives. Gray nodded solemnly, that makes sense, let's go. The 2 of them, plus Yejing, flew towards Anthony at the same time, ready to meet up. The first person to enter the state of tribulation was Emperor Wu Tian, and he acted the fastest. Is it coming? Emperor Wu Tian looked up at the sky. For the first time, his tone became heavy, and his face under the black robe became serious. It has been a long time since I felt this kind of threat to my life. The space above his head suddenly twisted, and the originally calm space began to rotate counterclockwise and gradually became illusory. Under the illusion, a dark light deeper than the abyss and darker than the blackness slowly enveloped his head. As the twisted and illusory space became larger and larger, the range covered by the darkness also became larger and larger. 33 seconds later, a huge deep black hole condensed in the air above Emperor Wu Tian's head. The black hole was calm, and lightning flashed. A terrifying energy that was enough to destroy everything was coming out of the black hole. The first disaster of the three disasters. Elemental disaster. This is a disaster that can raise one's elemental control to the top. The elemental attribute of Emperor Wu Tian is darkness. So the attribute of the elemental disaster is also darkness. This is a disaster, but also a disaster blessing. Every time a person passes through a level of tribulation, his elemental control, elemental strength, etc., will transform along with his body. This transformation is a qualitative change, a qualitative leap. This is not a strength increase of several tens of %, but a strength increase of several 100%. Each tribulation in the three disasters realm is a super godlike change. After the first elemental tribulation is past, one will enter the second disaster of the three disasters realm. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 464. Is the tribulation thunder of the three disasters strong? Strong, undoubtedly strong. Is the half-saint strong? Also strong, undoubtedly strong. Before the hellfire was born and the abyss energy appeared, except for the world tree, all the half-saints were stuck in the first disaster. It's not that they dare not break through, but the tribulation thunder never fell. Once the tribulation thunder falls, even if they are defeated, they will not retreat. Now there is such an opportunity. The strength of the spiritual energy is not enough to trigger the tribulation thunder, but the abyss energy is different. The strength of the abyss energy is enough to withstand the coming of the tribulation thunder. Emperor Wu Tian took the lead in sending down the tribulation thunder. In the void black hole, the power of thunder continued to condense. This is not an ordinary tribulation thunder, nor is it like the elemental thunder controlled by an individual like King Li. It is the thunder of living beings, the real thunder of the Holy Spirit. Each tribulation thunder is manifested by a Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, the Spirit of the Holy Beast, the Spirit of the true Saint. Has it started? Emperor Wu Tian raised his head and squinted his eyes. The long-lost tension and excitement filled his whole body. As the movement of the robbery thunder began, Emperor Wu Tian also began. The aura on his body began to change, and the dark energy enveloped his whole body. In his abdomen, the dark aura spread outward from his abdomen. In the blink of an eye, a darkness enveloped him. This is the black hole in his body. It has been hidden in his body since the beginning and refined for hundreds of years. Emperor Wu Tian has only released this black hole 3 times since its existence, and each time it was against a strong enemy. This time is no exaggeration. Facing the robbery thunder, he did not take it lightly and directly revealed the trump card black hole. The place where the robbery thunder is located is the manifested void black hole, and the thunder of the Holy Spirit has condensed out. It has started. Emperor Wu Tian's eyes sank slightly, his body tightened, and the momentum of the whole person changed in an instant. The black hole in the body is released. Of course, our focus is not on him. Is it about to start? Yejing looked up at the sky not far away. The sky 2 kilometers ahead had changed color. Endless, all kinds of elements gathered towards the horizon. The colorful light suppressed the deep red that originally belonged to the Earth's core space, and the elemental spirit tides hung high in the sky like a rainbow. Ligen, emerald wood, cold water, fire, thick earth. Hurricane, thunder, phantom, time, space. All types of elements gathered here. I see. Yejing looked ahead, his pupils shrank. In the storm, he saw Anthony's figure, drifting like a small boat in the deep sea. Anthony was alone facing almost the entire world's elements. It started. The distance of 2 kilometers was close enough, and Yejing no longer dared to get closer. If he was a few steps closer, he would be afraid that he would be affected and killed. Yejing found a crater to hide his body and observed Anthony's tribulation from a distance. Is this the thunderbolt of the three disasters realm? Anthony's face was calm, without a trace of panic. In the sky, the elemental thunderbolts that turned into rainbows began to surge. The first one. The dazzling golden light was blinding, and slowly fell off from the elemental rainbow. The golden lightning gradually condensed and took shape, and the evolution was completed in an instant. This is a golden dragon. The golden dragon of the ancient times. It is not a giant dragon like the flaming dragon, but the kind of golden dragon that only existed in the last era and has been completely destroyed in this era, and it is truly a golden dragon that can turn the world upside down. The power of the golden dragon is equal to that of heaven and earth. Roar. A dragon roar shook the earth, and the Holy Spirit transformed by the thunderbolt seemed to be a real golden dragon roaring at Anthony. Is it of the gold attribute? Anthony murmured, the 5 elements are mutually generated and restrained, and the mutually restraining attribute of the gold attribute is fire. Instantly, the blazing sun fire emerged from his body. This was the flame he collected after stepping into the broken sun a long time ago. Among all the fires, the hottest and most violent is the fire of the sun. Anthony is not going to defend, but to attack. For the golden dragon tribulation, either use defense to offset it or attack to destroy it. Here it comes. The roaring golden dragon tribulation destroyed the world, and the golden light illuminated the world. Even Yejing, who was 2 kilometers away, couldn't help but squint his eyes. Facing the roaring golden dragon, Anthony was not in a hurry. He stood on his chest with both hands, one hand forming a seal and the other hand controlling the fire. The phantom of the single-handed seal was continuous, and the 5 fingers were in the air. The red flame of the sun was sucked into the seal. In a blink of an eye, the deep red magic circle covered 2 meters in front of his chest, and the sun fire passed through the magic circle and gathered together. When the golden dragon tribulation came, the energy cannon of the sun fire was completed and blasted out in an instant. The golden dragon swallowed the yang fire. The yang fire extinguished the golden dragon. One is the thunderbolt, the other is the yang fire, the 2 most powerful energies in the world collided together. Boom! The huge sound of energy collision came from the central area, and spread to the surroundings with the explosive energy. When Yejing, who was originally peaking at 2 kilometers, saw the 2 energies explode, he burst into a foul language. As soon as he finished speaking, the heat wave and the breath of prophet rushed like a tide, flipping him into the air without any defense. Is just the first calamity so powerful? What a terrifying energy torrent! Yejing forcibly stabilized his figure in mid-air and retreated towards the rear again, retreating another 2 kilometers before slowly descending. It's terrible, it's terrible. Yejing looked frightened, his hands were trembling slightly, and his face had been burned red by the heat wave just now. When he was resisting the energy aftermath, the heat wave of the sun's fire had been offset, but the explosion of the golden dragon tribulation made his hands ache. The confrontation between the golden dragon tribulation and the fire of the sun was raging for several kilometers in all directions. Whether it was magma or hellfire, it was completely extinguished by energy fluctuations. Anthony, who was at the center of the explosion, looked calm, but judging from his tight body, he was not as relaxed as he appeared. Boom! After the loud noise, both Golden Dragon Stage and Sunfire were killed and disappeared. The first thunder is finally over. Anthony secretly breathed a sigh of relief, and a cold sweat appeared on his forehead. After the Golden Dragon tribulation disappeared, the golden aura energy did not completely disappear. The purest and purest metal energy scattered from the collapsed Golden Dragon tribulation and flowed into Anthony's body. Is this the change after the tribulation? Anthony felt the changes in the metal energy in his body, and the metal energy he controlled was instantly raised to the top level. What is the top level? 200% strength. 200% purity. This is the top metal energy. After the Golden Dragon tribulation dissipated, the elemental rainbow hanging high in the sky did not stop at all, and emerald green wood energy fell from the sky. All living things, the tree of life. The thunderwood of life bathes the world. The wood element symbolizes life, and the ultimate life is death. The thunder of living wood, filled with the most extreme aura of death, struck at Anthony like a bolt from the blue. Next is wood. Anthony narrowed his eyes slightly, this time it was his turn. With a serious look on his face, he immediately withdrew the sun's fire, and brilliant golden energy burst out from his body. Each piece of metal energy is like a sharp sword. Dragnet. Anthony let out a long and heavy groan, and countless golden energy turned into silk shapes, forming a large net that covered everything and covered the sky. Jinkemu. The gold net woven by gold threads has holes, and there is a gap of about 1 millimeter on the left and right of each gold thread. Layer. No. If there is only one layer, the death wood will leak through. But what about thousands of layers? The moment the heavenly net was formed, the thin golden net instantly dispersed, 1 divided into 2, 2 divided into 3, and the 3 gave birth to all things. 1 layer gives rise to 1,000 layers. What was originally just a thin golden net became millions of layers thick in an instant. Offensive and defensive killing techniques. The metal element is inherently extremely lethal, and the equally strong metal also possesses super high defensive power. Having both, symbiosis is gold. This is a system that balances power and defense. The thunder of dead wood fell from the sky, and the power of life and death bombarded the heaven and earth net. The gentle energy confronted each other, and the rich lethal breath followed. The deadwood thunder, which was originally a whole, was divided into thousands of small parts the moment it passed through the dragnet. This is just a dragnet. The thunder of the deadwood that kept breaking through the dragnet was cut into small parts in the blink of an eye. Thousands for the first level. Double the second layer. The third level doubles again. Every doubling in quantity is followed by a weakening of strength. The emerald green thunder of deadwood entered the golden skynet, like prey entering a trap, unable to escape. This is a battle between man and thunder. And this kind of competition can only be brought out by Anthony. Elemental calamity, elements are in conflict with each other. When the thunder was turned into gold, Anthony used fire to counter it. When the thunder turned into wood, Anthony used gold to counter it. When the thunder turned into water, Anthony countered it with earth. Mutual growth and mutual restraint, this is the most stable victory. When Anthony saw the deadwood thunder falling into the trap, he couldn't help but smile and became proud. The first calamity of the 3 disasters will definitely succeed. When the thunder of the deadwood penetrated the heaven and earth net, only 1,000th of its energy was left. Is that all? Anthony muttered to himself, then threw out a golden sword and pierced it into the thunder of deadwood. The thunder of deadwood dissipates. The most essence of wood energy poured into Anthony's body. In an instant, the wood energy he controlled turned into the most advanced existence. 200% strength. 200% pure. Although this elemental energy cannot keep up with the energy of the abyss, the gap is not too big. Once Anthony successfully escapes the tribulation, his strength will not just be doubled. The next one should be water. Anthony looked up at the elemental rainbow in the sky, and the next one in order was water. Really? When the wood element died, the elemental rainbow hanging high in the sky trembled slightly, and the water reaching the sky came from outside. Holy Spirit. Is this Kunpeng? Anthony looked at the Holy Spirit transformed by the heavy water in the sky, and his eyes couldn't help but tighten. This is the Holy Spirit of the last era. In the mysterious records, this information was mentioned. There is a fish in the North Sea, named Kun. Kun is so big that no one knows how many thousands of miles it is. It turns into a bird, named Peng. Peng's back is so big that no one knows how many thousands of miles it is. When it flies in anger, its wings are like clouds hanging from the sky. This is just one piece of information. In the records, there is another piece of information that makes him a little confused. There is a fish in the North Sea, named Kun. Kun is so big that it cannot be stewed in one pot. It turns into a bird, named Peng. Peng is so big that it needs two grills, one secret and one slightly spicy. Let's go to the end of the world with a bottle of snowflakes. He understands the first one, which describes the powerful appearance of Kun, the sacred beast. But what is the second one? The second piece of information made him a little dizzy and even a little scared. Could it be that the holy Kun, which is thousands of miles in size, was actually food in the last era? How terrifying was the last era? The water source transformed by the Tongtian water, like an infinite sea, gradually condensed and formed, and the huge holy Kun appeared in the sky. Although it is less than 1,000 miles in size, its phantom of the water Kun still covers the nearby sky. The holy thunder turned into a holy Kun, opened its illusory huge mouth, and after wandering in the air for a few circles, it attacked Anthony from above. The bloody mouth opened, and it was going to swallow Anthony completely. Water? You want to swallow me? Anthony couldn't help but sneer. Earth overcomes water, I'll let you eat a mouthful of earth. This is the advantage of the arcane master. No matter what kind of element you use, he can have other elements to suppress it. Anthony moved, and a large amount of heavy earth appeared out of thin air, and the black and yellow heavy earth completely wrapped Anthony's body. The next second, the holy Kun of water completely swallowed Anthony's figure. The contest between water and earth. Is it water that submerges the earth? Or is it the earth that is immersed in water? Eat it. Yejing, who was 4 kilometers away, trembled. Could Anthony have died just like that? In the semi-transparent water Kun, it can be clearly seen that the yellow-black earth blocks are drowned, and a large amount of yellow earth is scattered. Explode. Anthony's expression sank, and sweat continued to flow down his forehead. The old man's physical strength was not only a problem. In the belly of the holy Kun, black soil continued to appear out of thin air. These were all transformed by Anthony's own spiritual energy. As the black soil increased, the holy Kun of water expanded a little more. From the beginning, the black soil occupied 1% of the area of the holy Kun of water. So far, it has occupied more than 30%. As long as the holy Kun of water is completely occupied, the water thunder will pass. Hoo, hoo, hoo. The physical strength is a bit out of control. Anthony's breath trembled slightly, and he couldn't hold it anymore. No. I must hold on. Anthony gritted his teeth and forced the spiritual energy in his body to explode. The deep soil burst out like a mountain collapse, and penetrated from the inside of the holy Kun to the outside in an instant. This is no longer treating the thunder as a calamity, but treating the thunder as a real opponent. Encircle inside and outside. The scattered deep soil covered the surface of the water Saint Kun like flowers scattered by a fairy. At the same time, Anthony also exploded in the body of the water Saint Kun. Under the attack from both inside and outside, after a while, there was no trace of transparent watercolor. Success. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 465. When he felt the surrounding water energy dissipate, Anthony's tense nerves suddenly relaxed, and a large amount of deep soil disintegrated, exposing his body. The metal, wood, and water have passed, and there is still fire and earth. Anthony sighed breathlessly. Fighting against Gile was a huge pressure, both mentally and physically. Although he is not considered old, he has only just passed a little bit of his half-saint lifespan. But, not just him, but also the dean. This kind of people only start to enter the state of cultivation in middle-aged and elderly people. Their bodies are already fixed, and they cannot have the same high physical strength as young people. Of course, this does not mean that they are practicing late. But when the era of cultivation began, they had already entered middle age. This is both unfortunate and fortunate. If the cultivation era had been 50 years earlier, their potential would have been even greater. However, if the cultivation era had been 20 years earlier, nothing would have happened to them. There are still 2 series of basic elements, so what are the remaining series? Anthony calmed down his turbulent heart slightly and looked up at the elemental tribulation rainbow in the sky. This is a 7-color rainbow. In addition to the 5 basic elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, there are 2 remaining elements. This means that as long as he successfully overcomes the tribulation, he will be the strongest half-saint with all 7 elements. Too fierce. Yejing looked dumbfounded from a distance, his mouth wide open for a long time. In Anthony's eyes, he was just trying to overcome the calamity, and all his attention was on Gile. But it was different in Yejing's eyes. In his eyes, Anthony was fighting against Jin Shenglong in the first calamity. The second calamity is fighting against the thunder of dead wood. The third calamity is fighting against the giant Kun in the deep sea. Although these are all phantoms of the Holy Spirit, they are all transformed by tribulation thunder. However, it is undeniable that he is not able to deal with any disaster. Even Jin Shenglong could swallow him in one bite, but he had no way to deal with Jin Shenglong. I really want to know what my tribulation thunder is. Yejing's eyes were blazing. He was not from the elemental system. The thunder would be different from that of Anthony and others. But it shouldn't be far away, right? After the destiny realm is the extraordinary realm, and after the extraordinary realm is the 3 disaster realm. He now possesses the energy of the abyss and has the ability to start the first calamity. Now as long as he waits for his realm to catch up, he can directly overcome the tribulation. Just when Anthony had begun to destroy the fire disaster, 2 people flew staggeringly from the other side. Maybe it's because there's nothing in the sky, or maybe it's because there are only a few people nearby and the target is obvious. When the 2 flying people approached, Yejing saw them at a glance. Similarly, the 2 of them also saw Yejing. Yejing looked at the 2 figures in the sky not far away with a confused look on his face, and subconsciously shouted out. Gray. Zhao horizontal bar. Yejing. Gray and Zhao, who were flying in the horizontal bar, also saw Yejing. They looked happy and flew towards the side quickly. After they landed, the embarrassed Yejing hurriedly got up from the ground and greeted them with a smile on his face. Damn it, you actually escaped from Wu Tian. Yejing stepped forward and punched Gray and Zhao twice on the horizontal bar. Zhao Xingbang chuckled, shook the golden shovel in his hand, and said triumphantly, did you see that this magical weapon of mine can even dig through the black hole of the big devil? Yejing looked shocked, so fierce. He looked at Zhao's golden shovel on the horizontal bar. This was the weapon he had coveted for a long time. He didn't expect that it could even dig through black holes. What the hell is this? A relic from a past era? Or an artifact from outside the solar system? I really want it? Yejing's heart is itching. Do you want to find a time to trick him? Gray said, the main reason is that the big devil entered a state of selflessness and had no time to care about us, So he let us slip out. No self. Yejing was slightly stunned. Is he going through a tribulation? Not only Emperor Wuxian, but also Master Anthony is also going through a tribulation. Zhao Xingbang asked in confusion, what about transcending the tribulation? Are you about to ascend? They have been locked in the black hole in the body of Emperor Wuxian, and they do not know what is going on in the outside world. Yejing explained, those three semi-saints absorbed the energy of the abyss and entered the first calamity of the three disaster realms at the same time. It's actually a disaster. Gray's expression was horrified, and he looked at the stormy Master Anthony not far away. What the hell? You're so close to the three disaster realm. Aren't you afraid of death? When Zhao Xingbang heard that it was a three disaster situation, his whole body exploded. He was so panicked that he hurriedly pulled Yejing and Gray and fled away. This is a three disaster situation. Let alone 4 kilometers, even 40 kilometers is dangerous. What are you afraid of? Yejing slapped Zhao's horizontal bar hand away without any care, with a nonchalant look on his face. I've been watching here for a long time, and I haven't noticed much. It shouldn't be affected here. Of course, he was just guessing. Before, he retreated from 2 kilometers to 4 kilometers. Come on, let's learn together. There will always be opportunities to make breakthroughs together in the future. Yejing said with a smile. Gray was speechless. This future is too far away. They are one step away from the destiny realm, let alone the three disaster realm. After hesitating for a while, he still couldn't resist the temptation to learn about the disaster from a distance, so he and Yejing hid together and watched Anthony overcome the disaster. Gray said casually, on the way here, we also saw the flaming dragon. It is also undergoing a catastrophe. Zhao Xingbang muttered with dissatisfaction, if it weren't for it, we wouldn't have to take the long detour. The flame dragon is also going through the tribulation? Yejing's heart moved, and a bold idea suddenly came to him. You should be injured when crossing the tribulation, right? You should be seriously injured when crossing the tribulation, right? Yejing's eyes flashed with brilliance. He was planning to make his own weapons, but he still lacked some advanced materials. He had it all figured out. The auxiliary materials are hellfire and abyss energy. Now we are lacking some main materials. It seems that the flame dragon should be of sufficient level. I just don't know if the injury is serious or not. Yejing muttered. Gray asked, what are you muttering about? Yejing shook his head, it's okay. This idea is a bit outrageous, let's wait until later. After Anthony's tribulation is over, go to the flame dragon to take a sneak peek. If the injury was not serious, he would have turned around and left. If it's serious, that's a different matter. As soon as the scene changed, a wave of heat hit my face. Fireworks go off. The thunder and rainbow rain down the sky fire. It's starting again. Holy fires all over the sky fell from the sky, and each holy fire contained a trace of thunder and fire. The power of thunder and fire was enough to burn all things. When the thunder fire appeared, the surrounding temperature suddenly rose, and the temperature of the already hot inner space of the Earth increased sharply. This time, it was a large-scale calamity fire. Oh my God! It's coming this way. The three people who were originally in OB state were instantly stunned when they saw the tribulation fire floating towards them in the sky. Oh my God, we are all 4 kilometers away, can you also affect us? What are you waiting for? Run. After Yejing was stunned for a moment, he threw away his legs and ran away without hesitation. This kind of thing was not something they could defend against. The calamity fire is not fast, but its power is unparalleled. Wherever the calamity fire went, even the air was burned away. In the vicinity of the calamity fire, every time it moves, a piece of space is broken. Thousands of tribulation fires floated down, covering the entire nearby space. Isn't this the calamity of Anthony? Why is it still a large-scale attack? Zhao was complaining endlessly on the horizontal bar and ran away. After the fire tribulation, the earth tribulation follows. After breaking two calamities in a row, Anthony's movements obviously stopped. I can't stand it anymore. Anthony's expression was solemn, and his body was half hunched over. The 5 basic elemental tribulations only account for half of the rainbow of elemental tribulations. The remaining 2 calamities accounted for the other half in an extremely terrifying way. However, Gile seemed to deliberately let Anthony guess wrong. 2 calamities come out at the same time. Light and darkness. 2 calamities and 2 attributes. After a brief pause, the elemental tribulation rainbow flashed with dazzling light and gloomy darkness. From beginning to end, the most terrifying energy burst out in an instant. This is the divine phoenix. Anthony's pupils shrank, and his whole body couldn't help but tremble a little. Deep in the Kilin Mountains, there is an ice phoenix hidden. That is the same creature as the flame dragon, a creature with the noblest bloodline among creatures. The disaster transformed, and a phoenix with wings 1,000 meters long flew out from the other side of the rainbow. An earth-shattering bird song came from Divine Phoenix's mouth. The left wing of the Divine Phoenix appears pure black, symbolizing the darkness of despair. The right wing of the Divine Phoenix appears pure white, symbolizing the hope-like light. This is a very contradictory Divine Phoenix. There has never been any creature that can possess both light and dark attributes at the same time. The contradiction between these 2 attributes is several times stronger than that of water and fire. Light and dark. Anthony's face darkened. Although he was a master of arcane magic, he did not possess all the elements. Light and darkness are elemental attributes that he has no control over. Even after surviving the tribulation, he could not possess these 2 attributes. In other words, Baidu. Even if he didn't want to survive this calamity, the Divine Phoenix had already come out. The Divine Phoenix manifested by the Holy Spirit flapped its wings with 2 attributes, and its huge body of 1,000 meters pressed down on Anthony. The Holy Spirit Divine Phoenix opened its left wing, and dark thunder filled with despair surged toward Anthony. The Holy Spirit Divine Phoenix opened its right wing, and the glorious thunder full of hope surged towards Anthony. In the air, 2 unrelated energies were intertwined. After they met, they merged into a new energy that was half black and half white. This is. The closest person to this terrifying energy was Anthony. He directly felt this brand new energy and couldn't help but be filled with doubts. This black energy turns out to be abyss energy. Anthony gasped and his eyes shot open. He originally thought that there were only elements in the first calamity, and there must be only elements. But what the hell is abyss energy? Anthony's face turned green. He has no capital to resist your energy in the abyss. Even though he has always been calm, he can't help but curse. I originally thought that Gile's opponents would all have pure spiritual energy, but who would have thought that abyss energy would emerge in the end? He was so angry that he was so angry. What the hell is abyss energy? Before this, if he hadn't heard from Yejing, he didn't know that there was such a top energy in the world. He only came into contact with the abyss energy in the geocentric space. He knew nothing at all. Since the black energy is the abyss energy, what about the white energy? Anthony forced himself to calm down and concentrate on dealing with the thunder. Since the black is not the dark system, but the abyss energy, then the white is definitely not the light system. What is it if it's not the light system? He didn't know. If it was Yejing, he might have guessed it a little. What fights against the abyss energy is the Yang God energy. The abyss energy and the Yang God energy come out together. This is the last part of the first tribulation of the 3 disasters. Not only him, all the semi-saints will encounter the abyss energy and the Yang God energy at the last moment of the tribulation. It's too abnormal. This is the most terrifying part of the first tribulation. The 3 disasters has not changed since the last era. The Holy Spirit Phoenix soared with its wings, and the Abyss energy and the Yang God energy intertwined together. The terrifying energy fluctuations pressed down on Anthony. Boom! Anthony trembled suddenly, and his body was directly covered by light and darkness. Completely submerged. Damn! Anthony instantly released the purest 5 elements in his body at the same time to strengthen his own defense. Unlike the previous 5-element energy, he could still find a counter-attack in defense. But now, he can only passively defend and resist the attack of the Abyss energy and the Yang God energy. Fortunately, he has the top elements of the 5 elements and barely holds the thunder outside. If there is only one element, I am afraid he is dead now. Counterattack? No. Defense? No. Anthony's expression was uncertain and he fell into a struggle. The Holy Spirit Phoenix kept flapping its wings, and the Abyss energy and the Yang God energy came out together, and a large amount of them hit Anthony. Gray worriedly said, "Master Anthony is not in good condition, right?" From the situation, Anthony has been completely suppressed by the Holy Spirit Phoenix, and he has no power to fight back. Zhao Danggong's face changed slightly. He won't die just like that, right? Watching a half-saint die in front of their eyes in the tribulation, they will have psychological shadows. This psychological shadow can even affect their future practice. Can we do something? Yejing shook his head. What can we do? We can't do anything. At this moment, he also felt that this is the Abyss energy, and the mysterious Yang God energy should be matched with the Abyss energy. That is the Yang God energy. The Abyss energy and Yang God energy emitted by the Holy Spirit Phoenix are almost catching up with the young Hades. What should I do? We can't help with the tribulation thing. It is even possible that you will die if you are not careful, which is too scary. Wait. Suddenly, Yejing's mind was like a bolt from the blue. I can't do it, but the black and white cat should be able to do it. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 466. The origin of the black and white cat is a bit scary and mysterious. Whether it is all the functions of the furnace or the skill reserves of nearly a universe, they are very scary, even more powerful than the plug-in. She is simply one level higher than the solar system. Yejing even suspected that the black and white cat was the legendary Yang God who was defeated by the ghost god. Unfortunately, there is no evidence to prove it, or maybe the injury was too serious, and the black and white cat even lost his memory. The black and white cat can devour all energy, whether it is spiritual energy or the core of the planet, whether it is the essence of the sun or the Abyss energy. All energy is accepted and all is devoured and converted into its own energy. Such a large amount of top energy, if the tribulation thunder is dispersed like this, wouldn't it be too wasteful? Yejing murmured in a low voice, very moved. The Abyss energy in the tribulation thunder and another thing suspected to be the energy of the Yang God, the sum of their numbers is more than that of the young Hades. He is weak and can only watch, but the black and white cat is different. Although the black and white cat has no strength, it can't even beat him. However, he knew that the black and white cat might not be able to beat others, but it would definitely not be killed by others. After a slight pause, Yejing entered the furnace space. The black and white cat was refining the blue star core while evolving the Abyss skills, and huge energy fluctuations were wandering around her. Yejing walked up, interrupted the black and white cat's action, and asked, "If I let you out, will you be beaten to death if something unexpected happens?" Beat someone to death. The black and white cat heard Yejing's voice and exited the evolution state. He stared at Yejing with contempt and said disdainfully, "Stop making trouble. To be honest, it would be strange if there were any creatures that could hurt me in this rural area. Although I don't have the strength now, I won't die in the hands of others. Moreover, I am one with the furnace space. As long as I have a thought, I can enter the furnace space." The black and white cat snorted. "Actually enter and exit the furnace space at will? Yejing's eyes lit up. This is really interesting. He could only enter the furnace space with his consciousness, but no matter how his body moved, he could not escape into the furnace space. But he did not expect that the black and white cat could do what he could not do. As expected, they are one body, more skilled than me, the master. I know. Yejing nodded and left the furnace space again. It's inexplicable. The black and white cat muttered, not understanding what Yejing meant. After Yejing left the furnace space, he turned his head and said to Gray and the others, "You two wait here for me for a while, I'll go out for a while." Gray was puzzled, "Where are you going?" Yejing pointed to the direction of Anthony's tribulation, and said with a smile, "I'll go over there to see." "You go there?" Zhao Danggong was slightly startled, and said in surprise, "You don't want to die?" "Master Anthony is about to die, and you are going to die. This is really a life-threatening thing, do you want to live? They can't even hide in time, and you actually want to get close to them yourself?" Yejing nodded, "I have something to do, you stay here and wait for me to come back." After that, regardless of Zhao Danggong and Gray's obstruction, Yejing walked out of the crater and ran towards Anthony. The sky was full of abyssal energy and Yangshen energy emitted by the thunder. He couldn't fly up and could only move slowly below. But fortunately, the distance was not far, only 4 kilometers. With his arm strength, as long as he was 1 kilometer away from Anthony's position, he could throw the black and white cat over. The sense of oppression is getting stronger and stronger. Yejing leaned forward, his steps were sometimes slow and sometimes fast, and sometimes he avoided the aftermath of the thunder. The Holy Spirit Phoenix in the sky did not pay attention to Yejing, or it might be because it didn't notice Yejing at all. One light wing is 500 meters long, and the other dark wing is 500 meters long. Under the flapping, the sky was divided into two halves, with a line in the middle as the dividing line. Half of the sky was transparent pure white light, and the other half was gloomy and pure darkness, which was very weird. Under the pressure of the two-way energy emitted by the Holy Spirit Phoenix, Anthony was exhausted and could only passively defend. The 5 elements were completely suppressed. "If this goes on, I will be swallowed." Anthony looked solemn and under great pressure. After gritting his teeth, he could only choose the safest way. Space. Anthony moved his hands forcefully and turned the space around him, transferring everything within a radius of 3 meters. Anthony's body disappeared, and the next second, he appeared in the air 1,000 meters away. Break. Anthony snorted coldly, and the 5 elements exploded, dispersing the 3-meter abyss energy and Yangshen energy that were transferred together. It is impossible to dispel the thunder of the Holy Spirit Phoenix in one breath, so he can only choose to break them one by one. His plan is to carry a little bit of Xuanhuan energy in each space transfer and remove it after transferring it out. This is the only way. Anthony touched the sweat on his head. He had just escaped from the predicament, and the energy of the Holy Spirit Phoenix followed. In an instant, the half-white and half-black abyss energy and Yangshen energy pressed towards him again. They were following him so closely. Anthony gritted his teeth and twisted the space again, transferring the Xuanhuan energy within a radius of 5 meters. When he appeared from the upper side, Anthony's arms trembled and removed the energy. He could only rely on this method. Each transfer eliminates part of the Divine Phoenix energy. If this continues, it will take hundreds of space transfers to completely consume the Divine Phoenix energy. Hundreds of times, can he persist so many times? Anthony's expression was heavy. With his current quality, he might not be able to stand it after only a dozen times, not to mention hundreds of times. Just when he was about to continue transferring, his eyes suddenly squinted and his expression changed drastically. Yejing. Why is he here? Anthony frowned and said to himself, Yejing dared to come over at such a dangerous moment, was he looking for death? Why are you here? Leave 10 kilometers away quickly. Anthony said in a deep voice. Master Anthony. Yejing was slightly startled. Master, does he still have the energy to transmit the message? He thought that Master Anthony was about to die. It seemed that every semi-saint should not be underestimated. Anthony urged again, don't worry so much. Get out quickly. It will be bad if it affects you. Need not. Yejing shook his head. Master, please continue to do your thing. I seem to be able to help you share some of the burden. He narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at the abyss energy and Yangshen energy that had been chasing Anthony. Is that the distance? Yejing whispered to himself. Then, he hurriedly entered the furnace space and picked her out under the confused gaze of the black and white cat. The black and white cat was confused. What do you want to do? She was still absorbing the core of Blue Star in a daze, and in the blink of an eye, she was taken out of the furnace space by Yejing. Yejing smiled in confusion, grabbed the black and white cat's tail, and started to swing it. A 360-degree rotation with one punch in a circle. Hey, hey, hey. Let me go, let me go. I'm going to faint, I'm going to faint. The black and white cat was swaying in the air, the sky was spinning, its eyes were shining with golden light, and its head was full of stars. Go Tool Man. Yejing shook the black and white cat, and when she was confused, she directly threw the black and white cat into the high air, heading towards the divine phoenix energy covering Anthony. Yejing. I'm going to eat you. The black and white cat's screams resounded throughout the world, and after her body drew a black and white arc in the air, she fell into the divine phoenix energy. The energy of the abyss and the energy of Yangshen instantly enveloped her soft body. The black and white cat, who was still angry and in a state of fury, suddenly became silent. Huh. This is... The black and white cat sniffed the energy around him, and his Tai Chi pupils lit up. This is the ultimate energy. So delicious. The black and white cat's exploding fur fell down instantly, and it didn't care where it was or whose energy it was, it just started absorbing it. She seems to have an inexplicable affinity for energy. As long as she appears, energy will continue to flow towards her, without any repulsion at all, and will be absorbed directly by her. The energy that originally belonged to Anthony to overcome the tribulation abandoned Anthony and rushed towards the black and white cat the moment the black and white cat appeared. This is not a very aggressive feeling, but an extremely gentle feeling. Facing two kinds of people, they are two forms. Anthony cried to death. What's going on? Anthony was still waiting for the space transfer. Who knew that this time he would be the only one to transfer, and the divine phoenix energy did not come with him at all. Anthony looked at the divine phoenix energy rushing in the opposite direction with a blank expression, feeling at a loss what to do. Isn't this my calamity? Why didn't you come for me? The lonely old man is confused online. The black and white cat doesn't care about this. As long as there is energy, she will keep absorbing it. Who cares about the old man? How long will it take to absorb this much energy? Yejing had a voice conversation with the black and white cat in his mind. The black and white cat's tone was full of excitement, and he replied excitedly, about 3 hours. That's great, Yejing, where did you find such a good place? Because someone is going through the tribulation. Yejing said silently in his heart. He didn't find it at all, it was stolen. To be honest, he was stealing Anthony's energy. It takes 3 hours for black and white cats to fully absorb it. Hearing this, Yejing couldn't help but get excited. In the inner space of the earth, this is really a great harvest. What a great harvest! After solving the infant Pluto, he absorbed a lot of energy and rushed him to the realm of destiny. Then he got the blue star core, which was enough to make the black and white cat a full meal, and it would take a few hours to consume it. Now I have eaten the last energy from Anthony's tribulation, and it will take 3 hours to digest. Return with a full load. Now even if he turns around and goes home, he will still make a lot of money. It seems like there is no problem for Master Anthony to overcome the tribulation. Now we just need to wait for the black and white cat to absorb it. Yejing nodded with satisfaction, turned around and returned the way he came. On the way back, he began to think carefully. What is the most important task? The task he received was to extinguish the hellfire and prevent it from spreading to the outside of the Kilin Mountains. Now it seems that he cannot complete this task alone and may fail. But that's not necessarily the case. He has another way to deal with the hellfire that covers the entire Kilin Mountains, but he doesn't know if it will go smoothly. In addition to Anthony going through the tribulation, Emperor Wuxian and the Flame Dragon are also going through the tribulation. Emperor Wuxian is very mysterious. From a long time ago, even against Dean and Anthony, he has never used his full strength and has been hiding his strength. Whenever you reveal his last trump card, he always reveals another. Mysterious and terrifying. Whether Emperor Wuxian can survive the first disaster, there is no need to even think about it. There is no need to provoke such a terrifying enemy. Moreover, Emperor Wuxian didn't have what he needed. But the Flame Dragon is different. As an ancient species, the Flame Dragon has boiling dragon blood, the holy beast's blood is invincible, and it is full of treasures. For other creatures, the Flame Dragon is a very troublesome existence. Its ultra-high physical defense and nearly immune elemental defense give many people a headache. However, the Flame Dragon's opponent this time is not a living thing, but a disaster. Especially in the last part of the disaster, there is abyss energy and Yangshen energy that are different from spiritual energy. Even if the Flaming Dragon could successfully overcome the disaster, it must have been seriously injured and its strength was greatly reduced. It should be almost time, right? On the way back, Yejing roughly calculated the time it would take for the Flaming Dragon to overcome the tribulation. It is estimated to be about the same time as Master Anthony. Go over now and have a look. If the Flame Dragon was not seriously injured, he would have turned around and left without hesitation. But if the Flame Dragon is seriously injured, don't blame him for adding insult to injury. It just so happened that the weapon he wanted to build still lacks some main materials, and the materials of the Flame Dragon were better. After walking back to their original positions, Gray and Zhao immediately came over. What were you doing just now? Why did I seem to see you throwing something over there? Zhao Xingbang asked curiously. Yejing said casually, it's nothing, it's all trivial. He put one hand on Gray's shoulder and the other on Zhao Xingbang's shoulder, and whispered with a smile, where did you see the Flaming Dragon? Has its position changed? Gray glanced at him sideways, having a bad feeling. Zhao Xingbang pointed in a direction and asked in surprise, what do you want to do over here? Yejing chuckled, it's nothing, I was thinking, how about we go and see it together? He is not safe on his own, so it is best to drag the two of them on the pirate ship. He doesn't fly very fast, and Gray's wings can greatly improve his maneuverability. Zhao's horizontal bar can enhance his survivability. Even if he loses in the end, he can still use the golden shovel to break through the space and escape. Even if Zhao didn't come to the horizontal bar, he would still forcefully borrow the golden shovel as a weapon. Let's go and see together. Gray looked surprised, you are sick. After watching Master Anthony, I went to see the Flame Dragon. Do you still want to see Emperor Wuxian? That's not true. Yejing shook his head, as you know, I am short of a weapon now. Think about it, the materials on the Flame Dragon should be good. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 467. The material on the Flame Dragon? What does this mean? Gray and Zhao were in a mess on the horizontal bar. Their brains were on standby for a moment, and they couldn't find any words to describe Yejing. Big fool? Or mentally retarded? Are you really going to commit suicide like this? After being stunned for half a minute, Zhao Xingbang glared at Yejing and stammered, "Did you get burned by the flames? Who gave you the courage to say such a thing? What is the material of the flame dragon? Isn't it just its body? The flaming dragon is covered in materials. What are you talking about?" Well, it's not that serious." Yejing shrugged his shoulders, looking unconcerned. "I just went over first to see if I can fish in troubled waters. If the flaming dragon is not injured, I will naturally not die. But..." As soon as the words changed, Yejing showed a sinister smile. If the flame dragon is seriously injured and can't even move, let me ask you, aren't you moved? Can't even move?" Gray and Zhao took a deep breath instantly, and the demons they had been suppressing in their hearts were released. If it were a complete flame dragon, they wouldn't even have this thought. But if you really can't move, then who wouldn't be greedy? Who in the world doesn't covet the body of the flaming dragon? This. Gray, who had always been very calm, was a little shaken. Zhao Hanbang swallowed, his eyes flashing greedily. Is it possible? Could the flaming dragon be so seriously injured? Yejing chuckled and said, "If you don't go and see, who will know?" He patted Gray and Zhao on the shoulders, and his tone was full of temptation. "How about it, do you want to come with me and have a look? Is it too dangerous?" Gray hesitated, but before he finished speaking, Zhao Xingbang hugged him. "Don't say that, there's no danger in going and taking a look." He winked at Gray, obviously convinced by Yejing. No, he must have been greedy by the flame dragon's body. The two men stared directly at Gray, waiting for him to say a word. Gray hesitated for a moment and then nodded and said, "Then let's go and have a look." "Then what are you waiting for? Fly." "Sure enough, I am still the humblest mount." Gray sighed, stretched out his wings, carried a person in one hand, like a dog with vegetables, and flew towards the other side of the sky. Over there is the direction of the flame dragon. The secondary tribulation of the flaming dragon is sky fire, and the main tribulation thunder is still the energy of the abyss and the energy of the Yang Shen. Fire outside the sky, there is no flame in the solar system. This is a flame dozens of times hotter than the true heat of the sun. The distance was very far before, and Yejing and the others didn't know. But when they arrived here, they couldn't even fly at high altitude. Because, a hole has been burned above the center of the Earth. The inner space of the Earth could not withstand such ultra-high temperatures and was burned. In the area where the flame dragon was crossing the tribulation, the sky was covered with a thick layer of flames. It was obvious that behind the flames, which were as thick as the sun, a large hole was revealed, a large hole nearly 100 meters wide. Outside the big cave is the depths of the Qilan Mountains. Endless tribulation thunder fires surged out from the center of the Earth and burned toward the Qilan Mountains. When the flames covered the sky, they did not even dare to fly to high altitudes and landed directly in low altitudes. Gray raised his head and looked at the pieces of thunder fire, and worried, will this flame ignite the Qilan Mountains? Yejing said indifferently, it doesn't matter, anyway, the Qilan Mountains have been burned with hellfire, and there is no need for another kind of flame. Our target is the flaming dragon, and we can drip whatever else we like. It has nothing to do with them whether it is burned or not. Of course, there will be big shots to deal with it. The speed of flying at low altitude is not slow. The closer they get to the flame dragon, the higher the surrounding temperature is. Their clothes are already soaked with sweat. It's so sticky and awkward that I really want to take it off. Look. We're coming. Suddenly, Zhao Xingban pointed far ahead and shouted. 2 kilometers ahead, a huge flame reaching the sky blocked the road ahead, making it impossible to go any further. The flame pillar stretches from the ground to the sky, hundreds of meters across, like a barrier, blocking the way forward. In the huge flame pillar, there is a huge figure struggling. The flaming dragon was swallowed up by the flame pillar. It can also be said that it used the flame pillar to protect itself. The tribulation thunder in the sky emitted abyss energy and Yangshen energy, which shot into the flame pillar and entangled towards the body of the flame dragon. Every time there was an entanglement, even from 2 kilometers away, Yejing could see a few red scales falling from the flame dragon's body. What a pity! Yejing's face was filled with distress. These were top-notch materials. Just melting into the tribulation thunder, everyone would feel distressed for a long time. If you really can't stand it anymore, you might as well just give up, and you might as well give it to me if you are swallowed up by the thunder. Let's get ready. It looks like it's almost over. Yejing said in a deep voice. It depends on what happens next. The flaming dragon failed to overcome the tribulation and was swallowed by the tribulation thunder. Whether you succeed in overcoming the tribulation or be divided by them depends on the next step. Either way, you're going to die, so hold on, flaming dragon. You must hold on. Our hope depends on you. Yejing couldn't help but cheer up the flaming dragon in his heart. The shaking dragon roar came out from the flame pillar, and the dragon roars one after another were full of painful sounds. The dragon's scales tore and fell to the ground, and the dragon's blood bathed the earth. It was as if its huge body was about to explode. Among the pillars of flame, one black and one white, the energy of the abyss and the energy of the Yangshen continued to impact the body of the flame dragon from 2 directions. Every impact made the flame dragon bear a huge energy impact. Like Anthony, it had never been exposed to such powerful energy and was very confused. But the difference between it and Anthony is that Anthony's body is very fragile, while its body is very strong and can resist these 2 kinds of energy. As the flame dragon continued to resist with its physical body, its tribulation energy became less and less, and the abyss energy and Yangshen energy were gradually worn away by it. It must be said that the flaming dragon was so powerful that the 3 of them were dumbfounded and felt like they were about to shrink back. Zhao Xiangbang was the timidest. When he saw how brutal and tyrannical the flaming dragon was, he immediately gave in. He shrank his neck and whispered, "Why don't we just forget it? It is because of his cowardice that he has survived until now." When encountering a strong enemy, he immediately becomes intimidated and runs away without caring about his face. This is how he survives. A thief may be timid, but a thief may be bold. Yejing said calmly, "Don't worry, let's take another look. If there is really danger, we will retreat." What he said sounded like farts. Withdraw. You've already come to this point, and you're still withdrawing. The flaming giant dragon couldn't stand it any longer. They were withdrawing. Who would they give this piece of beautiful meat to? To Emperor Wuxian? Stop dreaming. He must eat this piece of roasted dragon meat. The flame pillar that originally reached the sky and the earth has gradually weakened, its height has dropped by about half, its thickness has also dropped several times, and it has gradually lost its energy. The tribulation thunder of the blazing dragon is almost gone. The last energy of the abyss and the energy of Yangshen have been intertwined together, and they are attacking fiercely towards the broken body of the flame dragon. Roar. The flame dragon's roar filled with unwillingness and pain spread throughout the sky. At the last moment, all the flames in the sky were absorbed into the dragon's mouth by the giant flame dragon. When the 2 energies were about to bombard its body, all the flames were sprayed out in one breath. After the dual energy struggled in the fireworks for a few minutes, the residue left behind once again bombarded the flame dragon's body. Roar. It was this last blow that fatally injured the flame dragon. The giant flame dragon that was flying in mid-air was suddenly severely injured. After its huge body trembled for a long time, it suddenly fell from the sky. Boom! With a loud noise, the flaming dragon smashed a huge hole in the ground, splashing flames all over the sky. The shattered body made it impossible for the giant flame dragon to move. It could only lie on the ground in a state of embarrassment, struggling to its death. Not dead. Overcome the tribulation successfully. The tribulation thunder slowly dissipated, and the flame dragon began to undergo tremendous changes. After the first disaster, the flaming dragon has officially entered the second disaster realm. As long as the transformation is completed, he will be a truly invincible dragon. However, its transformation takes time, and no one will give it time to transform. The opportunity has come. Yejing stood up from the ground with excitement on his face, so excited. He has been waiting for this moment. If the flaming giant dragon is not swallowed up by the thunder, then they will be the ones to take advantage in the end. Zhao Hanban's mouth was almost drooling, and his eyes were shining. The flaming dragon in this state should be at the mercy of others, right? He had already taken out his golden shovel, and his whole body was filled with excitement and he was in a fighting state. At this time, it depends on who strikes faster. Whoever strikes faster will get more. Although he was a little excited, Yejing was not carried away and said calmly, "Let's test it out first. Remember, don't take it lightly. Even if the enemy is seriously injured, don't relax and never underestimate the enemy until the last moment. Who knows whether the flame dragon will fight back in the end?" Zhao Xingbang suggested, "Shall we go there quietly?" "It's impossible to be quiet, right?" Gray shook his head. "With the sensitivity of the flame dragon, we will definitely be able to find us as long as we get close." "That's right, we can just make a sneak attack." Yejing looked at Zhao Xingban and said, "You just open up a space and send us too near the flaming dragon. We will attack and strive for a quick victory. The flame dragon cannot be given a chance to react or transform. Once the flame dragon truly transforms and enters the second disaster, they really have no chance." Zhao Xingbar put away his relaxed look and waved the golden shovel with a serious expression. The golden shovel trembled in front of him, and a black line spread, gradually forming a space crack that could pass through the two people. "I'll go in first." Gray directly stretched out his wings and got into the space crack first. "I'm going to prepare for remote support." After Yejing said something casually, he also got into the space crack. However, less than 3 seconds after he entered, he came out again. Zhao Xingbang looked confused. "Why did you come out again?" Yejing chuckled, "Borrow something." He took advantage of Zhao Danggong's inattention and snatched his golden shovel, then drilled into the space crack again. "I'll return it to you later." Zhao Danggong looked at his empty hands with a confused look on his face, and wanted to cry but had no tears. "How can I provide remote support like this?" In the space crack, Gray took a deep breath and grabbed Yejing. "We are going out." The space crack turned, and as long as he stepped out, he would be in the flame dragon area 2 kilometers away. The red scales on the flame dragon's body had been broken by 80%, and dragon blood was flowing on the ground. A large amount of dragon blood flowed into the magma through the cracks in the ground, which was so painful. "This is the first time I have been injured so badly, it will take a long time to recover." The flame dragon endured the pain from all over his body, and he wanted to flap his wings to leave this dangerous place and return to his own Mount Everest. Unfortunately, before it took off, a space crack was in front of it. "It's bad. Someone is coming." The flaming dragon's expression exploded, and he was panicked. Is it the old man Anthony? Or the human who has been wearing a black robe? Or the ice phoenix, which is also an ancient species? It's over. I can't deal with them in my current state. However, when it saw the two figures coming out of the space crack, it was no longer panicked. These two little ghosts? The flaming dragon looked at them with contempt, and a humming sound came from its nostrils. It looked at Yejing and the others without caring, and watched them recover from their injuries silently. He thought that these two people were just passing by and didn't dare to attack it at all. However, the next second, its temper exploded directly. Because these two little ghosts that it looked down on rushed towards it with murderous intent. Looking for death. I just don't know who died. After Yejing stepped out of the space crack, he saw the flaming dragon covered with wounds at first sight. Without hesitation or pause, he attacked the flaming dragon directly. Can't hesitate. Yejing's eyes were filled with murderous intent, and the golden shovel swung a golden light in the air, slashing straight at the wound of the flaming dragon. How dare you! The flaming dragon's pupils were filled with brilliant flames, and even if it was covered in wounds, it had the energy to fight back. Roar! The flaming dragon blew a breath of dragon's breath at Yejing, and the hot dragon flame rushed towards him. Cut! Yejing's expression was solemn. At the moment when the dragon flame approached him, he seized the opportunity and split a golden light across the air, splitting the dragon's breath in half from the middle. It is worthy of being Zhao Danggong's most precious secret treasure, which is sharp. The golden shovel cut the dragon flame, and his thin body drilled directly through it. After the double flash, he stepped in front of the flaming dragon. Cut! A horizontal slash. The golden shovel chopped straight on the wound of the flaming dragon. Dragon blood gushed out. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 468. So short. Yejing would feel awkward every time he used the golden shovel. It was too short. The length of the golden shovel was not even 50 centimeters, while the golden knife he used before was 2 meters long. The gap of 1.5 meters made it very difficult for him to use it. But there is nothing we can do about it. He is very long, but Zhao's horizontal bar is too short. If Yejing wants to use the golden shovel to attack the flaming dragon, he can only attack closely. Only when he is 1 meter away can he have a chance to encounter the flaming dragon. However, facing the huge body of the flame dragon that is more than a kilometer long, the closer the distance, the more dangerous it is. Now even if the flame dragon is seriously injured and cannot even fly, it is not something Yejing can deal with so easily. If the giant flame dragon turns over at will, it is enough to crush his body into slag. The moment Yejing emerged from the crack in space, he went straight towards the flaming dragon without even pausing. Originally, the distance between the space cracks was very close, only 5 meters apart. It was only 5 meters away, and Yejing didn't even need a second. By the time the flaming dragon reacted, he was already close. On the ground, Yejing followed the giant dragon's claws, jumped with both feet, and suddenly stepped on the claws and flew towards the body of the dragon. His target is the injured scales of the blazing dragon. On the surface of the deep red dragon scales, the flesh and blood have been blurred, and the red dragon blood is mixed with the dragon meat mixed with blood. Yejing stepped on the flame dragon, just like an ant stepping on a human being, very small. Roll. There were ants crawling around on the body, and the flame dragon became furious instantly. After a roar, the flames burned. From its body, dragon flames burned instantly, covering the entire surface of the dragon in the blink of an eye. So hot! Yejing exclaimed, and the hot flames burned his body, burning all his clothes in an instant. Damn it! Light! Yejing was stunned. He didn't expect that the flaming dragon still had the energy to cover its whole body with dragon flames. This was the strongest defense for the flaming dragon, and the most dangerous attack for him. Now White Shield, who has the orphan way, is holding on, and White Shield's shield value is rapidly decreasing. Too bad. Can't we get closer? Yejing frowned and his brain was working rapidly, thinking about the next countermeasure. He can only attack at close range. If he can't even get close to the flaming dragon, then there's no point in slaying the dragon. He can just turn around and run away. Is there any other way? Is the dragon's whole body burning with dragon flames? No. A flash of lightning flashed across Yejing's mind, a thunderbolt in the clear sky. At least, dragon eyes cannot cover dragon flames. Over there. Yejing suddenly turned around and ran towards the head of the flaming dragon. Naked and light, I can dance on the palm of my hand, and my movement speed is increased by 88%. This was also thanks to Long Yan's suit. All the weight on his body was burned away, and his movement speed was greatly increased. The whole person ran like a phantom, with a series of after-images behind him. His legs were crossed like flying legs. If it weren't for the hot feeling coming from his feet, he would have thought he was about to take off. He climbed up from the right claw of the flame dragon's hind leg, and had to step over a dragon's body to reach the dragon's head. But, how many seconds has passed? He has already rushed to the middle of the dragon. Within a few seconds, he would cross the dragon's body. The dragon's body formed an arc when he reached the highest point, his feet stopped and his body leaned downward. It slipped. In the second half, he just skated. Stepping on the flames brings hot wind, and the flames bring golden light all the way. Damn ants! The flame dragon's twin eyes mountain was burning with flames, its eyes were filled with rage, and its cruel emotion suddenly came up. It is a creature that stands at the top of the food chain. This is a fact that was already doomed when the human race was still in its infancy. Once, the flaming dragon spread its wings and flew down from the top of Mount Everest like a demon. It destroyed a city with a breath of dragon breath. Thousands of people were its food. Unscrupulous, arrogant, domineering, and extremely cruel are synonymous with it. The Killen Mountains, human cities, deep waters, and sandy monsters are all its feeding areas. But as humans gradually grew stronger, the feeding areas of human cities escaped from its mouth. With many tough semi-saint guardians, although the flaming dragon did not dare to invade human cities on a large scale, the small cities near Mount Everest became the hardest hit areas and suffered serious harassment. For such a demonic big boss, many people wanted to defeat him and become a dragon slayer. But every time, the flaming dragon relied on its strong physical immunity and elemental immunity to survive. When it couldn't hold on any longer, it would spread its wings shamelessly and fly away. This is the flame dragon, a big boss that has been domineering over Blue Star for hundreds of years. Its destructive power is no less than that of Emperor Wuxian. The greatest destructive power of Emperor Wuxian is that he has always wanted to split the human race and drag his own dark world to establish another force in the solar system, just like the Crescent Empire. But the destructive power of the flame dragon is completely different. It is a real man-eater, a truly cruel demon. Now, while the flaming dragon is seriously injured after passing through the tribulation, we finally have a chance to defeat it. From the severe injury of the flaming dragon to the complete transformation of the flaming dragon after breaking through the disaster. This short period of time is the best time to attack. In just a few seconds, Yejing slid to the head of the flaming dragon like a rocket. The head of the flaming dragon is huge, and there is a 10-meter-long dragon horn on each side of the deep red head. The dragon horns stand upright, like two antennas. The smooth friction made Yejing's solace almost catch fire, and his 2 feet were like stepping on a hot wheel. Oh no! I can't stop! Yejing's eyes widened. He slid too fast and it was impossible for him to stop with his body. The consequence of this is that he will fly into the sky along the head of the flaming dragon, and then be thrown away heavily. What to do? I want to play too much. Yejing's eyes were scattered around, trying to find a support point to stop. After a random look, his sight stopped on the dragon horn on the right, and his eyes suddenly lit up. That's it. While sliding at high speed, Yejing turned his hand and held the golden shovel, maneuvering his body at high speed. With every slight movement, his body would move closer to the right dragon horn. 100 meters. 50 meters. 10 meters. 3 seconds. 2 seconds. 1 second. Yejing's eyes flashed brightly, and the red dragon horn was reflected in his eyes. The image was getting bigger and closer. He held the golden shovel tightly in one hand, calculating the time in his mind. Then he stabbed the dragon horn horizontally. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 469. The flame dragon horn contains the essence of the flame dragon and is the hardest part of the flame dragon's body. In the dragon horn, there is a large amount of flame dragon essence and blood. Different from ordinary dragon blood, the essence and blood contains terrifying energy, and every drop is very precious. Under the lightning and flint, Yejing seized the opportunity. When his body was about to slide over the dragon's horn, he turned the golden shovel with his hand and thrust the sharp tip into the dragon's horn. Click! There was a crisp buzzing sound, and as a white mark appeared on the dragon's horn, the golden shovel was directly inserted into the outside of the dragon's horn, 3 inches deep. At the same time, his body suddenly stopped. Stopped? Yejing's expression was shocked, and he turned around and held the huge dragon horn with his other hand, and his whole body finally stabilized. As expected of a giant dragon, its horns are so strong. Yejing put his eyes on the dragon's horns and couldn't help but sigh. Even a golden shovel that can cut through space at will cannot easily cut off the dragon's horns. With the powerful impact and sliding force, the golden shovel only cut into the dragon's horn 3 inches. 3 inches has no impact at all on a dragon horn that is 10 meters long and 1 meter wide. Yejing pulled the golden shovel out of the dragon's horn. His attack only left a very slight white mark on the dragon's horn. If the target is changed to the dragon's horns, there is no way to cut off the dragon's horns without hundreds of fierce attacks. No, the target cannot be moved. Yejing shook his head solemnly. The flaming dragon would definitely not give him time to attack the dragon's horn. Hundreds of attacks were enough for the flaming dragon to kill him hundreds of times. The blow just now to stop the body was just to tickle the flaming dragon. The next goal is the ultimate goal. Court death. Even if the dragon's horns were slightly attacked, the flaming dragon felt that its dignity had been insulted. The dragon's horns represent its face. The moment Yejing leaned on the dragon's horn, the flames that were only burning slightly suddenly surged several times, burning like a beacon tower, and the thick flames of the dragon's breath blasted towards Yejing. This is no longer the original flame dragon breath. It is the most advanced dragon flame that has been strengthened and refined by the tribulation thunder. The moment the flaming dragon's breath approached, a burning sensation hit his face, and he felt like his body was about to melt. So hot. Yejing took a breath. Even the air was full of sparks. Every time he breathed in, it was full of high temperature. His lungs were so hot that they were about to cook. Groups of flaming dragon breath rushed towards Yejing. Don't get burned. Yejing gritted his teeth and waved the golden shovel in front of his face, and a space crack appeared. Space, open. The next second the space crack opened, the flaming dragon's breath got in. Space, close. Opening and closing, the flame dragon breath was forcibly sealed into the cracks in another dimension. Huh, are you done? Not really. Yejing's eyes suddenly tightened, and he turned to look at the dragon's corner. That dragon horn is really like a beacon tower. Balls of flaming dragon breath detached from the dragon's horns and blasted towards Yejing. Is this a dozen or dozens of ways? The dragon's breath in the sky covered Yejing's surroundings, attacking from all directions without any blind spots. Got caught? Yejing's face darkened, and he subconsciously took 2 steps back to avoid a dragon's breath attack. After dodging the first one, the second and third will follow. It's too much to handle. Yejing gritted his teeth secretly, and his body was moving every minute and every second. Although he had a super high movement speed, he was still embarrassed when facing the flaming dragon's breath attacking from all directions. His footsteps were moving, and his hands were constantly waving the golden shovel to chop the flaming dragon's breath. Only a golden shovel can kill the dragon's breath. He attacked quickly, but the flaming dragon's breath seemed to be free of charge, and kept pouring out from the dragon's horns, more and more. If this continues, there will be no end. Yejing's face was solemn, and he couldn't help but become irritable. He was extremely anxious. If this continued, his physical strength would be exhausted by the entangled flame dragon's breath. We can't delay in a place like this. Yejing's eyes searched everywhere for loopholes in the flame dragon's breath, looking for opportunities to escape from the encirclement and suppression. He is now like a bird trapped in a prison of flames, unable to move freely. As the flame dragon breath increased, his movement range also decreased, gradually shrinking from 10 meters to 5 meters, and from 5 meters to 3 meters. It looked like he couldn't even move anymore. His body is about to be covered in dragon breath. Yejing frowned and took a deep breath to calm his anxious heart. While waving the golden shovel to defend himself, he moved in small steps to avoid the attack. "Are you at your wits' end?" Yejing muttered to himself with a dark face that this was not the intention to die. He still had a chance to use the golden shovel to open a crack in the space and escape. However, now that he has escaped, it will not be so easy to get so close to the flaming dragon's eye again. Is it running? Or should you hold on a little longer? Just when Yejing was hesitating and struggling, another energy wave suddenly came from outside the dragon breath prison. A white light poured in from outside the prison. Directly inside. This is. Yejing was shocked at first, and then ecstatic. "You can't do anything alone, but don't forget, I'm here too." From outside the prison of flames, Gray's voice came. In order to seize the time, Yejing rushed directly towards the flame dragon after coming out of the space crack, without waiting for Gray at all. Gray, who was one step behind, finally arrived at the critical moment. "Kinyu is messy. Thousands of light feathers shot in from the outside of my flaming prison, forcing a hole into the completely closed prison. After Guanjiao, Gray's figure fell out. Get me." Gray broke through the prison, descended from the sky, and stretched out a hand. It couldn't have come at a better time. Yejing's nervous expression suddenly relaxed, and he changed into a smile. After jumping high, he grabbed Gray's palm. "Fly towards the sky." Following the loophole opened by Guanjiao, Gray grabbed Yejing and escaped from the flame dragon's body. Where to go? 10 meters away from the flame dragon, Gray quickly escaped. "Dragon eyes!" Yejing roared. He was extremely irritated by the prison of flames, and his irritable mood could hardly be suppressed. "Okay." Gray stretched out his wings, and after a few graceful circles in mid-air, he flew to the front of the flame dragon. "Look straight." Finally, the two of them looked at each other with the flaming dragon. Court death. The flaming dragon was full of violence, opened its mouth wide, and sprayed out a mouthful of dragon breath towards the two of them. Flash. "You don't need to tell me." Gray gritted his teeth and spun his body, barely missing the dragon's breath. "By the way, can you put some clothes on?" You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 470. Forward. Yejing looked down at his body in shock. The clothes on his body had long been reduced to ashes in the flames. He was so nervous just now that he completely forgot about this matter. Now that he thinks about it, it is quite embarrassing. He hurriedly put on a layer of clothes and then continued to focus on the flame dragon. More advanced. Yejing roared, and was now 20 meters away from the flaming dragon, out of his attack range. "New." Gray responded, dodging the dragon's breath while swaying his wings, shuttled through the flames, and moved towards the front of the flaming dragon. Although he couldn't defeat the flame dragon, he could still provide support to Yejing. It took more than 10 seconds to cross the distance of 10 meters across the flames. It's the limit. 10 meters away from the flame dragon, there was already a burning sensation on his wings, as if they were on fire. If he had been one step closer, his wings would probably be on fire. Enough. Yejing thanked him, used his feet on Gray's body, bounced out, and rushed towards the right eye of the flaming dragon. Jumping 10 meters, his body briefly stayed in mid-air, and then aimed directly at Longian. He held the handle of the golden shovel with one hand, and the sharp tip of the shovel rushed down, shining with a slightly dazzling golden light. Got it? The moment he got close to the right eye of the blazing dragon, Yejing slightly adjusted his body movement and forced his impact to increase by 3 points. 2 meters. 1 meter. 0 meters. Poof. In an instant, the tiny golden shovel inserted into the huge right eye of the flaming dragon without any hindrance. Although Longan is hard, it is still much fragile compared to scale armor. A crack hung across the crimson dragon's eye, the swaying flames were shaking, and the bright red dragon's blood flowed from the crack. It's not over yet. Yejing did not stop his offensive. For the huge dragon eye, a small crack could even be ignored. There was cruelty in his eyes, and his body suddenly drooped with force, the golden shovel still stuck in the dragon's eye. Oh! His body slid down in an instant of exertion, straight from the center of the dragon's eye to the bottom. He drew a blood stain several meters long on the flame dragon's eye. Originally it was an attack that only caused a little damage. Under Yejing's trick, his right eye was severely injured. Terrifying scratches several meters long hung on the dragon's eyes, and dragon's blood spurted out from the blood marks like a fountain, spraying all over Yejing. This dragon's blood is so hot. Pure dragon blood has a temperature of hundreds of degrees. When it is poured on Yejing, it is like having a basin of boiling water poured on Yejing. He holds a golden shovel in one hand and hangs it on the dragon's eye with one arm. His thin body is only a quarter of the size of the flaming dragon's eye. Interesting. After a slight pause, Yejing smiled inexplicably, and waved his other free hand in front of Long's eyes, as if to say hello. Hateful. The pain from the right eye made the entire body of the flame dragon become sluggish, and its nerves even became a little stiff. The furious emotion and injured right eye made the flaming dragon lose its calmness. It flicked the dragon's head and shook it from side to side, trying to throw Yejing off his right eye. Stop dreaming. Yejing held onto the golden shovel tightly and did not let go. His whole body was hanging in the air, swaying. Get out of here. The flaming dragon raised its head and roared violently, blurting out a ball of blazing dragon flames, aiming directly at his right eye. Yejing was shocked and had no time to think about anything else. He quickly pulled the golden shovel from the right eye of the flaming dragon, fell weightlessly and stepped on the dragon's nose. Boom! The flame dragon's own breath exploded on his right eye. Is this the legendary "I'll blow myself up if I try hard enough"? Damn, that's scary. Yejing shivered all over. He felt that he had made a terrible choice by angering the flame dragon. If the flaming dragon is really determined to destroy him even if he kills himself, he will be really in danger. It's not considered self-harm, Yejing discovered in surprise. The right eye, which was originally gushing dragon's blood, actually stopped bleeding under the burning of the hot flames. Although its right eye was severely injured, it was nothing serious with immediate treatment. Phew, the next target is the left eye. Yejing took a deep breath. If he wanted to kill the 1,000-meter-long flaming dragon, he had to do it step by step. First destroy its right eye, then destroy its left eye. Divide the entire flaming dragon into dozens of small pieces, guide it step by step, and finally eat it. Taking advantage of the obstruction of the flaming dragon's right eye, Yejing began to move quickly, going around the right side of the flaming dragon's cheek. Go around the blind spot of the flaming dragon's field of vision and go around a large circle towards its left eye. If you could blow up your own left eye, then I would admire you. To defeat the flaming dragon from below, you have to use this method. Crawling around on its body naturally limits the attack methods of many flame dragons, which is also the easiest way for him to win. Get off. Yejing crawled around on the head of the flaming dragon, making it extremely angry. Regardless of its injuries, he directly flapped the dragon's wings forcibly, stiffly letting himself fly. Yejing, be careful. Seeing the flaming dragon flying up, Gray was instantly startled. His body was like an ant in front of the flaming dragon. Just flapping its wings twice could knock him over hundreds of meters away. While the flaming dragon hadn't taken off yet, Gray hurriedly adjusted his flight altitude and flew 100 meters high, out of the flaming dragon's range. Be careful, I'm running first. Before Gray escaped, he kindly reminded him. Then you can run with me too. Yejing cursed inwardly, and the violent trembling dragon body made him unable to stand steadily. He hurriedly half-crouched down and grabbed the skin of the flaming dragon to prevent himself from falling. It is worthy of the bloodline of the holy beast. It can still fly after such a heavy injury. The flaming dragon did not fly too high, only about 500 meters. What's the use of flying so low? Is it impossible to fly at all, or is there any premeditated plan? Just as he was thinking, the flaming dragon moved. Crush it into pieces. Suddenly, the flaming dragon changed its position. It was originally flat in the air, but with its flexible change, it actually stood upside down. The huge dragon body, 1,000 meters long, stood upside down in the air. The dragon head rushed down, and the dragon tail rushed up. No way. No way. Could it be? Yejing looked at the ground with horror, and an extremely ominous premonition rose in his heart. Are you really going to do this? Are you going to send me to hell? Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 471. Yejing's position is on the dragon's head. The current faucet is facing down, that is to say. If the flaming dragon's head hits the ground, he will be the first to be hurt. Let alone the ground. On the ground, Yejing was bearing the weight of the flaming dragon, plus the impact and smashing force from high altitude. After falling heavily to the ground, it was enough to crush his body into powder. But what if it's not the ground? Is it magma? The target of the flaming dragon is not the ground, but the magma torrent. Its dragon wings were seriously injured and it could only fly up to 500 meters in the air. But just as it took off, it deliberately adjusted its landing position and pointed its head towards the magma torrent. Turn into dust in the magma. The flaming dragon roared loudly and fell straight from the sky. The flaming wind roared, and the dragon's head fell towards the magma torrent. It's over, it's over. As he got closer and closer to the magma torrent, the extremely high temperature swept through Yejing's whole body, causing his expression to change drastically and his scalp to be numb. If this person really falls into the magma torrent, let alone his life-saving skills, even if there are 100 of them, they will be swallowed by the magma torrent. Damn it! How insidious! I didn't expect that the flame dragon would be so smart and would come up with such a way to fight him. He is afraid of magma, but the flame dragon is the complete opposite. If he falls into the lava, he will instantly turn to ashes. But the flame dragon was different. It entered the magma torrent like a fish and didn't care even if it took a few hours of bathing. Now we're in trouble. He was getting closer and closer to the magma torrent, and there was no time for him to struggle. Yejing gritted his teeth and got away as expected. He leaned down and jumped off the flame dragon's body. After tumbling down several times, he landed safely. When Yejing landed, the flaming dragon also leaned forward and rushed into the torrent of magma, splashing up pieces of magma, causing sparks to shoot into the sky, and the magma scattered everywhere. Escape further. The moment Yejing landed, he began to move away from the torrent of magma, retreating hundreds of meters before stopping. Huh, I didn't expect to get into the magma. Now I'm in trouble. After Yejing stabilized his body, he looked at the torrent of magma that was gradually calming down with a troubled expression. His hands and feet were cold, and he was in trouble now. Neither he nor Gray would be able to enter the torrent of magma to fight against the flaming dragon. This is completely impossible. The magma torrent is the home of the flame dragon, the home of the home. However, for him, this is the forbidden place among forbidden places. The flaming giant dragon made no movement when it got into the torrent of magma. The originally turbulent magma also stabilized, becoming dark and motionless. OMG! Yejing looked at the flaming dragon that disappeared into the magma torrent, and his face turned green. Why did he run away after being beaten like this? How can we fight this? Even if he wanted to jump into the magma and fight the flaming dragon, he didn't have the ability. Isn't this too shameless? Yejing looked at the calm torrent of magma, and he couldn't help but murmur to himself in a low voice. It's not a battle at all now. How can we play if one of the fighting parties is beaten away? When the flame dragon took off and rushed into the magma torrent, Gray was escaping to high altitude. After he escaped to a safe height, he looked down and looked confused. Huh? What about such a big dragon? Why is it missing? In the blink of an eye, the 1,000-meter-long flaming dragon completely disappeared. He only saw Yejing standing alone on the edge of the magma. What's going on? After Gray hesitated for a moment, he flew down from high altitude, landed next to Yejing, and asked, "Where is the flame dragon?" Yejing pointed at the hot torrent of magma in front of him, smiled bitterly and said, "Hide in here." He was so drunk that such a proud flame dragon actually escaped from the battlefield. Gray stared blankly at the surging torrent of magma, with a confused look on his face. "You said he got into it? Damn it! Isn't that too bad? It's all hidden in the magma, how can we fight? If it's deep sea and sky, they can still give chase. But how can we chase magma that is enough to melt everything? I guess I will turn into dust before I even see the flaming dragon." "That's not true." Yejing sighed, extremely depressed. "The dragon meat that I got just flew away like this, it's so uncomfortable. It took me a long time to destroy one of the flaming dragon's eyes. Before I could continue the pursuit, it ran away without catching anything. Not to mention a dragon scale, a dragon horn, not even a drop of dragon blood, and a lot of time was wasted. What now?" Gray couldn't help but smile bitterly. Who could have imagined that this would happen? Yejing thought for a while and said, "Let's wait for a while and see if it will show up on its own." The possibility of waiting until it shows up on its own is very small, but there is no other way now. The two of them just stood in front of the torrent of magma, staring straight at the flow of magma. A minute passed. 10 minutes passed. 30 minutes passed. As time passed, Yejing's irritable mood also rose, and he suddenly became irritable. When did this end? Yejing scratched his hair impatiently. He couldn't wait any longer. It was a waste of time. Moreover, if they waited like this, when the flame dragon recovered from its injuries in the magma, the first disaster successfully transformed, and officially entered the second disaster, they would no longer be hunters, but prey. By then, even if they wanted to run, they couldn't run. "Get out of here, Grandpa!" Yejing roared at the calm magma torrent. He took a 100-pound rock from the volcano next to him and smashed it into the magma. The rock smashed into the magma, breaking the calm for a short time, but there was no trace of the flame dragon. "Smash it? Smash it for me!" Yejing gritted his teeth and said to Gray. "Yeah." Gray was also impatient, and he also cut off a large piece of rock with his wings and smashed it into the magma torrent. The two of them just knocked on the rock and smashed it into the magma. The splashing magma covered half of the sky, falling from the sky one after another, forcing Yejing and the others to dodge. Too annoying. Gray spread his wings, and the light wings shot into the magma like a machine gun, and in the blink of an eye, thousands of light feathers shot out. Are you still a dragon? Isn't this a cowardly act? Come out, Grandpa. You bastard dragon. Yejing suddenly turned into a Zon maniac, pointing at the magma torrent and cursing. CNM, if you have the guts, you can hide in the magma for the rest of your life. Come out. Fight. Let me take your wings off.